And we can get started, I think. GM1 and all. Let me take a quick attendance here. Welcome to our weekly tactical. This is where we're going to sync up on work that we're doing at BCard. We are going to eliminate blockers and prioritize our work. Take a quick attendance here. Rainus, Shelby is here. Drost is here. And the Thinker is here. And Inverse is here. All right, great. Just FYI, the call is recorded and we often share clips on social media. So just let me know if you don't want to be shared. In case you're wondering what we do, we help purpose-driven communities use Web3 tooling to generate revenue and engagement. And what we're trying to achieve, well, we have some lag metrics here. 217 transaction volume this week, down 630 from the week before, and $165 dispersed in real-life events just yesterday. You can see that on social media. And if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check out the Social Amplify channel and give those a like or a recast or retweet or whatever it is you do in your social media time. Looking down at our lead metrics, 3 weekly transacting users, a little bit down from our 4 or 5 in the last couple of weeks, 0 new users and 11 communities deployed. On team-wide announcements, we're looking for people to start calling nonprofits. Shelby and I both gave a call this week. So anyone who gets us a new nonprofit for BCard, this is a nonprofit that's not in the Web3 space, we can put a bounty on it. If you get someone who's interested in talking with us or someone who's interested in getting on the card, we can put some bounties towards that. So yeah, BCard tokens represent your let's say decision-making capability in the BCard organization. We haven't been using them a lot yet, but the plan is to use them more as we get into our community pages, which we will discuss a little bit below. On the airdrop reward side, new reward screen is out. Released it yesterday. There do seem to be some let's call them Schrodinger's bug in the current release. We are aware of them and taking a look at them. One of them being that sometimes if you haven't opened up your app in a while, it kind of freezes at the splash screen. So that's not good. And another one, I feel like, I don't know, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but I couldn't get the badges to not work yesterday. Actually, I tried a couple different accounts, but
everything seems to be working from my end, so it could have just been a local configuration on mine that was causing the bug that I misattributed to your code. So chalk it up to me.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's probably because I changed the variable name.
Yep, I think that's right.
Okay, makes sense. And another thing is when I was testing that, Tom, and this is kind of an aside, I realized that for new accounts you don't actually see those badges, and I'm wondering if we should give the users a badge for joining, which is something we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We could definitely get that in the pipeline and add it to the queue. It's one definite way of validating the functionality of the wallet backend too, with a little visual indicator. So I like that.
Sweet. All right. So from a milestone perspective, and again, our aim is to create revenue and engagement. We're working more on the engagement side a little bit lately. We have some new thoughts on that, but on the airdrop rewards, our new reward screen is out. This is a simplified view, and it shows you what is currently in your embedded wallet, and also you can switch it to, well, it also shows you what is pending for this month, and also what is like your lifetime earnings through BCard. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. Feel free to drop me any feedback. Next up, we're going to be focusing on getting 10 new users a week, and we're going to aim with the sales pipeline first. This is all about getting new people onto it. Actually, I may as well put this into the other section, into the getting 10 high quality communities. On the community pages side, Tom's working on getting privy on our page. Do you want to give an update on this one, Tom?
Yeah, the biggest thing that was put in place last week was the fork of Lynx's Black Flag site that he's been working on with a simplified sort of client interface for content deployment. And so we were thinking if we could get Privy integrated into a simple site like that, it could give us a lot of cross-user functionality between websites and apps. So it would allow us to sort of pass sort of pertinent information to validate users and qualify users and leverage the functionalities contained with the embedded wallets for the Privy accounts that our users hold. And so we're working towards getting that live and in testing this week.
In testing this week. Nice. On the in-app voting side, March funds are out the door. Sent those out yesterday. Next up, we're going to do an April snapshot. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's just me and Rainus who have events, in real life events from April. And I think Rainus already has his next event for May, and I actually haven't set mine up yet, but I will go ahead and do that the week after FarCon. And I want to disperse this month. I want to disperse the Black Flag token a little bit more widely. So I'm going to start using those pool together TWAB balances, time weighted average balance. And I'm also going to, well, with Arcusi's help, we're going to distribute Black Flag tokens to our contributors here. And so those Black Flag tokens will allow you to have a little bit more voting weight on that in real life events thing. The goal with that, I guess, like if you look at the goal with that community is basically to create a network for people who like in real life events and are kind of like, let's say, crypto aligned. Also, I have been told that someone would be interested in me writing a proposal for nouns to get more funding for the in real life events. We shall see. Any questions on 10 users a week? And then 10 high quality communities. Well, Glow Dollar and Chippy email. I did create blog posts. So Drost and NF Thinker, the emails that you had, they were a little bit longer than I would hope for an email. And also, as soon as you create an email that's a bit longer like that, it's nice to have it as a blog post as well because it's trafficable in multiple ways, right? You can actually show it on social media, you can show it in emails and all this kind of thing. So what I did was I took your posts, your emails, and I turned them into blog posts. They're pretty much almost ready to go, except they needed cover images. As far as I can see, Anna Thinker, I looked this morning. Yours looks ready to go. Drost, I don't know if you had a chance to look, because I added you to our paragraph publication, but I don't know if you had a chance to sign in yet.
I saw there was an invitation. I already have a paragraph account, and I wasn't sure. Anyway, I did see that invitation, but I haven't. I don't know that I've accepted it yet, so I'll get on
If you
that.
need me to send it to a different email, just let me know.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah.
I may need to do that.
Okay, cool. So yeah, once we get those ready for shipping, we can ship them. And I Thinker, any updates from what was the woman's name at Glow Dollar? Lana, yeah.
No actual actionable updates. Let me just double check what she said recently. So she's hoping that he would be able to pass along the login soon. He meaning Bram.
Yep.
So yeah, still no word from Bram. That was on the 23rd, so last week. Yeah, I think we said that we were going to ship it on Friday. That was, I think, Good Friday. That was just before Easter. So it's been nearly 2 weeks since I said that. So I think we should maybe post the paragraph, send that out, right?
Yep.
And then send an email out to our people with a link directly to that in the email. And then we can either do the social push now, or we can wait until they can push it. I think they do have access to Twitter. Because I do agree with you that having a coordinated launch of that would be ideal. That's when we're going to get the most views and most clicks on that. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm okay to wait for coordination. Like I think like that email, as far as I'm concerned, it's just I think I have to write like a one-liner on that email, and then it's kind of ready to ship. And yeah, we can go from there.
Okay, so should we get the paragraph launched? Do you want me to publish that today?
You can publish that. You can publish that paragraph whenever you want. Don't send it to the email list on paragraph though.
Okay.
Yeah, just publish
the
the post
when I'm publishing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Okie doke.
Cool. All right. And I think I also created some potential terms for our users and supporters, which maybe we want to take a look at later. But we will take a look at it later. On the sales pipeline, Shelby and I both sat together to discuss how to handle these calls, and we each made one call. Shelby, one of the things I noticed is that you created a new notes page, like a new Google Doc for the call that you took. I think we can just use that one Google Docs page and then just like that. Here, let me pull it out. This page here. Can you see it? Phone call procedure notes.
Yeah, I just didn't want to mess your page up, and mine, what I had to write down definitely wasn't as long as that, so I just put the link in on the
Yeah, you can literally just put like a heading 2 with the name of the nonprofit you're calling and put whatever you want in there. It doesn't have to be all this, right? Like this was just aiming to be helpful, but if you just want to put like a blank space there, it's good. Then we can find patterns after the fact on what people say.
Okay, I'll paste it in there.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Yes.
No problem. So I was going to send him a follow-up email. Do you have like a template for that sort of thing, or do you want a template for that sort of thing? Or
if you tell me what, so I also have to send a follow-up email. So if you tell me what you're putting in your follow-up email and I tell you what I'm putting in mine, we can either compare, and they don't have to be the same is all I'm saying. Like we don't know what's going to work right now. I'm kind of in the short and sweet camp, and we can just go from there and see.
okay, yeah, I just had GPT write one real quick, couldn't it?
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, like you can literally put anything in this document that you want, right?
Right.
Like you can just create a new thing that says like email template if you want, right? So if we put it here and we go, boom, email template.
You don't
And
think
like,
it was super long then?
so it will be, but if you use these things over here to like navigate, it's not that bad.
Okay.
Right. So like the reason why is because if you have this long document, let's say we're all just like the two of us just jam on this document together, we fill it with a ton of content. Let's say it gets to like 20 pages or something. Then when you are processing that document, all the information is one place and you can kind of be like, oh, okay, like a bunch of people mentioned this specific term or they used this specific language, right? And when you start to see that, when you have it all down in one place, it starts to become easier to see.
Okay, cool.
All right, so that's great. Thanks for working with me on that, Shelby. It actually motivated me to go out and go ahead and actually get actually make a call myself. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Shelby. Action creates action. And working on our own community, well, Arcus and I discussed how we could work on the accounting flow. We kind of decided to get historical accounting done first, and then potentially use splits to disperse other contributor tokens like the Black Flag token. There are other tools we could potentially use as well. So it's not something that is set in stone yet, but the aim is to use some of these Web3 tools on our own community a little bit better. And maybe potentially even feed that into things like our community page and such. All right, let's go into the task perspective here. Going from the top down, done, automatically drop boards to users' embedded wallets. Now that's on production. Server software updates to keep us safe and efficient. Tom got those ones done. Nice work on that. Community pages, milestone 1. This is something we added last week. Community pages is something we should probably talk a little bit about, but essentially, I mean, we talked about it a bit before, but it's essentially these static websites that allow people to use Web3 technology without having to understand anything about a wallet or anything like that. The idea is that you can kind of like eject using your embedded wallet if you want it, but if you're a new community member and there's interesting things that people are talking about, but you don't have the time or ability to learn what's going on, well, you can still join the community. You can still gain the benefits of like these tokens and that kind of thing. But you don't need to know how that works unless you do want to learn, and then you can kind of like learn at your leisure. So that's the idea behind these community pages. We talked about using Privy, the embedded wallets, to kind of abstract away that whole wallet experience. And if you voted on Snapshot within our app, you kind of understand how Snapshot voting will work. but we want to add some other things. For instance, Black Flag Collective, we want to add the ability to deposit to that pool together pool, or either those pool together pools very easily without needing to know too much about it. For things like even like non-Web3 things like, hey, I want a calendar of events or something like that. I want to collect people's emails and then email them. These kinds of things that for smaller communities, you have to put together a bunch of different tools. Yes, you have to do that, but figuring out how all of those tools fit together is sometimes an issue with DAOs. So we're aiming to just kind of jam on that in these community pages, with the first two communities being Black Flag Collective and the BCard community, but with the ability to hopefully easily add other communities, because these are just static sites that we're using and kind of reusable components. So we did discuss this in the past, but I know that sometimes I don't say everything to everyone. So I thought it was a good idea to just state it out there. Does that make sense to people? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me. It's like we want to have a platform where all of these neat ideas that we have can live and help other communities out.
Yeah, and without any friction as well. So right now, to get a B card, you need to live in the States. You need to give your social security number and that kind of stuff. But yeah. Anyways, we can talk about this a little bit further down, but let's go through this. Tom, any updates you want to give on this?
No, nothing. I think beyond what we were discussing earlier about first getting the Privy integration in place.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
Sorry, the login integration in place.
Right. Great. Thanks, Tom. On the community leader research side, we're mainly aiming for nonprofits right now. So we're looking at creating that messaging and really just kind of understanding a little bit more about them. The sales pipeline is kind of attached to this in a lot of ways. And I haven't heard from Elle recently, but she did say that she would be potentially willing to like put more, identify more nonprofits for us to call. So we'll see. Making that voting useful to the BCard and Black Flag Collective team. And so on this front, I'm not sure how to make it more useful. I'm going to put it into next up because I do think that we're going to be working on it a little bit more, but it's not there quite yet. Ensure everybody with the BCard at the event gets an NFT. So honestly, the next step on this roast is to log into Paragraph and make a header image.
Okay.
I'll put that in the bottom there.
Right. And just FYI, I'm traveling today,
okay.
and then I'm going to be at it. But I have my computer with me and stuff, so I'll be able to work on that while I'm out. Just FYI.
Okay, great. Publish the article. All right. Make it easy for us to get tokens to contributors. Any updates on this, RQC?
So I haven't made much progress. I did have a question though. Are you going to be able to do tomorrow's meeting, or are you traveling?
Yeah, I'm traveling. Actually, I'm not going to be able to make it.
Okay.
Did you want to? I mean,
Right.
I could probably do like a more informal chat. But yeah, not at the meeting time. Actually, you know what? Like, I'll be at the airport, so I could probably chat, but I can't like take notes or anything.
Okay, maybe we can just kind of do a check-in or whatever at that time, if
Cool.
you're able to do that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Ops meeting is now. I'm just trying to double check the timing right now while I'm here. 1 second. Ops Weekly. Yeah, okay. So I have the Ops Weekly at the wrong spot in my calendar for some reason, so I'll just move it. Okay, anyways, yeah. Yeah, it should be fine. I should be in by that time. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right. And the Black Flag Endowment Fund, I got March's events out. We'll just change this to nouns. And some of the things that I wanted to do really is to work on getting that pool together UI into the Black Flag website. There's that calendar functionality and proposal to nouns style. We'll see how we can get here. Glow dollar com perspective. I think we're almost ready on this. NF Thinker, we're kind of ready to go. We just need to still waiting for Lana.
Yep.
All right. And then the audio from the DSI AMA. How's this looking, Drost? You are muted, Drost.
Sorry,
Oh,
I
there
was
you go.
away from the keyboard for a minute. Yeah, I found some actually really great sections, and I've cleaned them up. I just haven't applied any visuals or anything, so we've got some great excerpts from that, but they're just
Nice.
not publishable at the moment.
Nice. Still exciting.
Would you like me
Still
to
exciting.
share kind of the raw that I'm thinking I want to work with? Because I don't like to make completed stuff unless it's what you want.
Sorry?
Oh, what I was saying is, do you want to see? Sorry, I had to run back to the computer, so I'm a little out of breath. What was I saying? Oh, did you want to see the excerpts I'm working with, or do you only want just completed stuff that you can ship out?
I mean, it's up to you. I'm always for feedback early and often. And other if you post it in our team chat or even our public chat, other people can see it and take a look too. But
okay, I'll
yeah.
do that. I'll start with that because I've already got some really great excerpts. I'm just not sure how much of it to include, how long we want them. Anyway, but Kimberly really has some great sound bites that can be chopped
Nice.
up or used complete, and others on the call as well.
Nice. That's great. I think Kimberly will love it. So that'll be really good.
All right. Cool.
All right. Yep. Sounds good. Anything else that we're working on that's not on this list? Okay. Great. Let's get into what did we ship last week? Good week this week. I moved Drost and NFT emails into blog posts, and I made a campaign to send email out for both of these initiatives. And I Thinker finished this blog article on Paragraph, and also made a list. Sorry, 1 second. Little frog in my throat. I also made a list of what to call our users. And you can take a look at that list later. Links and Shelby met to discuss a nonprofit reach out, and they also called one nonprofit each. I dispersed Black Flag Collective Snapshot funds for March and shared on socials, so please take a look and engage. I got the new reward screen to production. Tom spent some time debugging badges, getting privy on community pages, and Tom was testing deployments to allow privy auths via API on Hugo. So a lot of stuff working on this week. We have a couple of things that we can talk about. Is there something that I should do at FarCon while I'm there related to BCard? What should we call our users? This is something that NF Thinker was asking in the chat. And community pages, the why and the how. Any of these interesting to anyone?
Well, since you're heading off to FarCon, we should probably think about that a little bit.
Yeah, so yesterday I was loading my BCard. I guess some of the events that people were running, I was like, oh, I could potentially run an event, except that the events that people were running were like very well funded and well executed, and I just didn't have the time to do anything like that. But then I was thinking to myself, like what could I do at FarCon? It's all people who are crypto friendly. It's all people who, most of them probably live in the United States. So they're kind of in our market. I guess I was just thinking what is the best thing I can do given that I'm really leaving it to the last minute here.
I think it'd be cool if you could convince somebody to sign up for a BCard and use it while you were there.
Well, how would
Just
they use it? Because it takes a couple days for them to fill it.
Only the ACH, right? They can beam it in, theoretically.
Beam also uses ACH.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're not there for that many days.
Yeah, I'm thinking like find a another community to add. For me, like I think I also want to discuss purpose versus profit, or like in general, iterate over messaging with these kinds of people. So these kinds of people, these people is probably not a nice way to say it, but essentially like these are all people who are traveling to New York or live in New York, so they're relatively affluent. They're all people in the crypto space, so they kind of like they probably want to onboard more users, and they're all people who because they're in the crypto space too. They probably have let's say certain contrarian views. And so like the question really will, if I'm having a conversation with someone, what can I throw in there to kind of test the messaging on BCard? What can I do to kind of see what these kinds of people relate to? Now we're not really like aiming specifically for these people because we're trying to onboard new users, but these are also the people who, when their friends are like, hey, I heard about this crypto stuff, they're going to talk to these people, right? And so it's really a potential vector for us to get new users. Any other things you guys think I should do while I'm out there?
I think signing up a new community, if you were able to do that, would be fantastic. There's a bunch of different Farcaster communities out there who are pretty much aligned with us, and that's where some of our recent ones have come from anyway. I mean, even OMF came from there because of your connection with Kristen. So yeah, maybe talk to people about what they're working on outside of the Farcaster ecosystem, see if there's any nonprofit cross compatibility there. Yeah. Are you planning on actually running us like any sort of event there or meetup?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's from what I saw the schedule, it was just packed with way more well-funded events. I didn't really want to compete with that.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. You don't want to be competing against it. Like we always used to have that problem with permissionless, right? Anytime Bankless DAO tried to organize something, it was always overshadowed by other things.
Yeah.
So definitely don't want to waste your time. So yeah, lots of networking. I'm sure you will nail it.
Great. Well, any thoughts on this before we can, I guess, move on to the next topic then?
Well, one of the things you brought up earlier was you were a little bit disenchanted by the large vendors that pay for these events. And it tends to skew or has the potential to change the dynamic, whether it's avoiding certain conversations because the sponsor doesn't want it or, whatever. That may actually be an entry to talk about it. It's like, we love doing this kind of stuff. And yeah, you got, so many times you have to have a big sponsor to accomplish anything. Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to do that? And, maybe it opens up a different kind of a conversation about how to effectively network, create a collision, that kind of stuff, without having to have these vendors in your pockets all the time. And I think that, I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here as to how to work it into the conversation if it's something that's bothersome to other people as well.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's like it's what I would note down as like messaging, like something to talk to people about, right? Like I think like that it's really pertinent. So thanks for that. I think it's a really good entry point into talking to people about how purpose driven versus profit driven, that kind of thing. No, it's a really really good idea. I've heard a couple people privately complaining about the sponsors. So
yeah, and as opposed to just saying, oh yeah, by the way, I'm working on it's more just a natural evolution of the conversation you're having already. It's like,
Exactly.
what brings you to FarCon, and oh, we're working on this, and you describe it better than I do in the elevator pitch. And it's just part of what you're working on. It's like, part of the reason I'm working on it is just what we were just talking about right now. It's like, there's always some middleman that's either setting the agenda or taking money off the table that really needs to go to the community. Anyway, I just think it's a really good opener for the conversation, as opposed to trying to get somebody to sign up for something right then. It feels a lot more comfortable. I mean, if you're able to maybe point them to, I don't know, people don't tend to not sign up for things, but I don't know, if you're sharing a QR with your contact info or whatever, if it goes to your link tree and then it links to, and then there's a link to the BCard project from there. I don't know. Maybe it's a little softer connection.
No, honestly, it's really interesting, right? Because like we could potentially, like for instance, like if we're like, oh, how do you actually like run a decentralized, like it creates just like a way to like ideate about some of this stuff too, right? Because like there's FarCon, and they are decentralized, right? Like it's just anyone who wants to run one can run one. And then if you yeah, it's sufficient. I mean, it's relatively decentralized, right? Like, but there are no organizers of FarCon New York who are organizers of FarCon Venice, who are organizers of FarCon Boston. They were all different groups of people who ran with it. They all happen to be very popular or important on the Farcaster network. Like they have a lot of followers and influence, but they aren't like related to each other than that. And so like it's possible for me to run Farcaster in Toronto, but like I probably wouldn't get as much interest as these people are getting because they were basically able to sell a bunch of tickets, which allowed them to like talk to sponsors and all these other kinds of things.
They're bigger influencers.
Exactly. So it is relatively decentralized. How do you run a decentralized thing like this? Well, for BCard, like we could do a thing where like everyone who has their NFT tickets for both FarCon Venice and FarCon New York, you could just say like, hey, if you use this card, we put it into a fund for the next FarCon, and the attendees of the previous FarCons basically get to decide whether or not the funds are released.
Yeah,
but
cool
I mean,
idea.
at the same time, we have a purple card, so they could also just do it with purple. And hoot. It
anyway,
is as it
to
is.
skin a cat.
Yeah, but no, that's a
That's
great
horrible, and you're not supposed to use that anymore. That phrase, skin a cat.
Yeah,
PETA hates
I've heard that. I say bake a noodle now. More than one way to bake a noodle.
Bake a
Wait,
noodle.
why can't you say skin a cat?
Oh, animal cruelty. I would never skin a cat, but just for the record.
But if you did, it's good to know that there are more than one ways to do so.
Oh God, let's not go there.
I mean, way off topic, but everybody should watch that Vice documentary, if you know what I'm talking about. Vice, feral cats in Australia. It is well worth half an hour of your time.
Never mind. Maybe True Cat can fill us in on that.
Maybe. Well, cats went feral in Australia, basically, and they're killing all the wildlife. Like
Really?
all lizards, birds, little rodents. They're way out of hand. So they've had to put in measures to control the cat population. And there's like people have built entire identities out of being cat hunters.
Wow.
And yeah, one of the guys knows many ways to skin a cat. Definitely. Sorry, that went way off topic, guys.
Wow.
God. But it's a Vice documentary, so it's educational.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a kind of off-topic thing. It's on topic with regards to our meeting here. But I don't know if I'm sure this is something we've discussed before, but I don't really recall, and I don't know if we took any actionable steps to push it forward at all. But I was thinking recently with things like the Quadratic Accelerator and the Giveth funding, Quadratic funding, and Gitcoin Quadratic funding, would it be interesting for us as a card to offer some sort of like matching funds that come from Giveth or come from Gitcoin? I can't really remember specifically if we talked about this before or if we explored much of that.
We did talk about it, but we would need like a sponsor for us to have matching funds, and to have a sponsor, we would need like a certain amount of card usage, like regular card usage or regular user usage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
Yeah.
kind of like there's a chicken and egg problem, right? Like what we really need to do is get like a couple of we need to work on that engagement piece first, and then we can, unless you have a source to get that other than that, unless like there's something that in that assumption tree that I just laid out that doesn't hold.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I guess that assumption is based mainly on needing either high amounts of traffic or volume currently, or having a sponsor. And I don't know if maybe like if we spoke directly with Griff from Giveth, if he might come up with some alternative idea that we could implement, and that would both inject our growth and create a way for our existing communities to earn give along the way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to anything. So if you want to, if you want to talk to Griff, go for it.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, I'll send him a message and see if he gets back.
Cool. All right. Anything else we want to talk to relating to FarCon? All right. Well, one of the things that NF Thinker brought up, and I think it's worth a peek, is that we don't really know what to call our. Well, actually, let's see this. Do you guys want to talk about what we should call our users, or do you want to talk about the community pages?
Maybe community pages, because
Yeah,
maybe that
what
would
do you mean?
Okay. So community pages, they are what I described before, like this idea of so like going back a little bit, our goal is to create revenue and engagement, and more so our aim is to bridge the UX gap between Web3 and the real world. Another thing that I think is important is that idea of ownership. Right now, if you have a page on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, all your traffic can get taken away for any arbitrary reason, right? And so the idea behind these community pages is to give communities something that they themselves own, and that in doing so, that is going to be an asset for, like, a long-term asset for a community. A way that you can join a community without having to be part of Facebook or Farcaster or Twitter or anything like that. A way to re-engage these community members, a way to kind of have this engaging experience outside of these hyper engaged platforms. So that's kind of like the basic idea of the community page. You own the URL, like the community owns the URL. The community like owns the code. They can kind of change that code themselves if they want. But it's our technology that's kind of powering this. That's kind of the baseline on what we're looking at. A way to give these smaller communities a way to create like the hub of their network. Hey, if you want to learn about Black Flag Collective, go to this website, blackflagcollective.org. There you can sign up, you can deposit, you can vote, you can see when the next event in your neighborhood is. So it's that kind of idea of like, hey, we're building a network of, in this case, Black Flag Collective, we're building a network of people who want to have in real life events. And here's that kind of like central hub to do it for you, open to anyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the idea of having these community hubs. I don't know if it would be worth maybe exploring implementing a pre-existing tool like Nounspace, where people can kind of customize their own community hubs without too much input from us. It's a little bit more permissionless, and it already supports different types of plugins. It supports like tokens and it can be quite artistic and creative from that standpoint. And then, we don't have to specifically build something, but we can collaborate with Nounspace on an integration like that.
Yeah, so when I first used Nounspace, it wasn't quite there. Like, maybe they've made a lot of improvements in that.
Yeah, similar. They recently launched V2. I don't know exactly what that entails, but it is quite customizable. And you can set one up for a community quite easily.
Okay, so I just click the launch button because that's spaces. Spaces. Here we go. This is what I want to see. Face notes. So, for instance, probably the NARS will have a decent noun space. Okay, and so it's showing stuff from. I'm assuming this is from Farcaster. This is their chart. Yeah, and so this is. Ooh, okay, I see. So this is something like this. Yeah. So this is
Yeah, and then so you can scroll down below that one as well, I think. So yeah, if you scroll on the side, I think this is part of
I
the
don't think.
usability. I don't know if it has two or.
I think this one just has two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's also like learn drawposals. So here's how to do it. Drawposals, newsletters. Yeah, so they're like doing something like similar to what we're doing, like what we're looking at doing with community pages. I guess like the key for us is that we would really want to. So for here, for instance, I feel like you could probably like go ahead and bid on this right here, latest. Bid
Yeah, or
or
you
something.
could show recent proposals. I mean, that would probably be the most important. Like rather than having a daily bid on there, I can't imagine many communities are going to want to replicate that. But they will want to show your proposals straight up on the front page or events that are happening, right? So
Yeah.
I just feel like rather than spending a bunch of resources designing something like this that could plug into our site, try maybe the let's see what Giveth is doing there.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
it's just a
okay,
little splash page.
but it's just like like I guess like. Is this the hub? Like, do they tell people to go to nounspace.com/sgiveth, right? Or would it be better to go to like Giveth, like when they have it in their link tree? Where is it? Website. So if you click on this website, this kind of giveth.io, they probably tell people to go here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So it turns into like, what is this Nounspace page for? Like, it looks like they're just like it looks like they just planted something here because they.
Well, the same
Because,
could be said for anything that we create, right? What is the BCard page for?
The BCard page would be for this page, for the Giveth page, right? Like we wouldn't do it for
Be their
Giveth, right?
homepage.
Exactly, yeah. So it's really for smaller communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really for like those communities that are kind of like, hey, I'm just starting out. What do I do? It's really like that kind of thing more than anything, I guess. Like I suspect probably Nounspace allows you to have like a custom website as well.
I don't know the full
Like
extent of it. I built my own back in the day when they first came out, and I played around with it a bit, and I spoke to Willie about them. And I actually had an AMA with him when they launched, and we talked about the token. It was mainly for Shapeshift because I wanted to discuss the token, but we did talk about the integrations. One thing that is interesting is I don't know if you're familiar with Morpheus AI. So the guy who I don't want to say invented, but he came up with the idea for dApps for Ethereum. His name is David Johnson.
Mhm.
He came up with the idea for these agents, AI agents which are interoperable. So it's like you can go to Morpheus and you can select from different AI agents that you can then use within your own chatbot or your own AI stack. And it's sort of like open source AI editing. Now, Nounspace uses a similar code for its widgets. So its widgets are basically all agents. They're all AI agents.
All of these are AI agents?
Apparently, yeah, they're like it's like a you can basically program them to do whatever you want. And you can grab from the Morpheus AI stack.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I mean, without getting too far out into the weeds, I guess it really depends on what kind of customizability you want for each of these different sites, for each different community page. Because if you just want it to show like a list of events and a splash page about what the community is, that's probably easily done. But the more stuff that we tack onto that, the more resources and time it's going to take from our developers to integrate that, test it, make sure it's working, and move functionality forward. Whereas if we're to use something that is pre-existing, that has a lot more functionality baked into it already and can turn into something that's more usable, then in theory, that would be better for us to not have to deploy any capital or time onto that. But yeah, I mean,
yes, except like the fact that it's not actually making it easier to do on-chain transactions on Nounspace, as far as I understand, right? Like that's not their goal.
Yeah, no, not that I know of.
Yeah, and so for me, like it's definitely like very similar to what we're talking about, except they have a different focus. They're really trying to like if you look at the proposal that Nounspace put up for this like Nouns client, it's really to create like a client of consumption more than like they have this idea that they want to do like on-chain transactions and stuff, but they don't really have like what they're building in the product is not that. It's really based around this idea of like, hey, you have this place for yourself, you have this like place. It's really like this personalized page which feeds into on-chain activity, like it's read more than write.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can do like swaps and stuff like that. There are different widgets that have actions. But again, I don't know the full functionality of it. So I guess moving forward, I totally agree that we should be offering community pages for people, and make it something simple and also make it something that they can customize themselves. So
The key for
make it
us
like
is to be able to do something that you can't do elsewhere, right? And so like this idea, like even if you just look at Black Flag Collective as an idea, hey, this is a community. To be a member, you have to deposit funds into this pool. And like making that as simple as possible for any individual, I think is the key. It's like when you went to Bankless DAO's Discord early in the day, like there was this idea of tipping, and there was a tip bot which had an embedded wallet for you, so you could earn tokens without even having like a Web3 wallet at all, which is pretty cool, right?
Mhm.
But it didn't like really take into account like, okay, how do I actually can't vote with these tokens in my tipping wallet, like that's not possible, right? So how do I vote? I have to learn how to use Snapshot and all these other things. So the idea would be really just like, hey, anything you need to do to be part of this community, learn where an event is, get tokens, get badges, like for instance for showing up at an event you get a POAP. Anything you need to do, you can do on this one website. You don't have to go anywhere else, really. That's the idea. And the way to it's not as easy as Nounspace. Like the idea is not to be as easy as this to like customize and everything, but the idea is to make it all like kind of usable within Markdown, which I think is relatively easy for people to learn. Not as easy as like a drag and drop interface, but easy enough for a community leader to learn.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? If you want to experiment with Nounspace and you're able to do something, I'm totally like do it. I think like anything we can do to make it easier for communities is good. I just think like Farcaster's working on making that making it super easy to do these transactions within the feed, but they're not working on making a place for a community. Like channels is not on their docket or anything. So as a result, you can't actually send people to Farcaster to join a community. And then this is coming from the other side. Hey, this is a community, but you can't actually do easy on-chain transactions. Sorry, go ahead, Drost.
Maybe community pages could be a vehicle for earning reward tokens.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyone that's adding value through either helping build the community page or adding content to it or whatever, maybe there's some reward mechanism for doing that contribution that then feeds back. So it's a feedback mechanism. I don't know how you do that, but
yeah, well, I think like, there's like a bunch of different like the idea is, hey, this is like a community hub. There are ways to get tokens and there are ways to spend tokens. Right now, the only way to get tokens is like through BCard. But there could be other ways to get tokens on here, like, hey, post on the Farcaster feed, and if your stuff is above a certain amount of engagement, then you get rewarded this week or something like that. And hey, by the way, we make it easy to do that because we show a Farcaster feed right here, and we like have like the rounds.wtf that's running in the background. You don't even need to look at it, right? Like it's just happening. It's the community leader who does it, right? But we're tying together these disparate tools to do it. And for a user, not for the community leader might need to do a couple of other things, but for the community like user, they just have to look at the website and see that they're gaining tokens.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, frankly, what Thrive had been doing, or I don't know if that's still their model or not, but basically tracking and incentivizing engagement, like they were doing when we tried that out for a season at Bankless DAO, where there was a list of or a set of activities that had various reward levels, and then if you perform those activities, you would get token rewards that could then be used as basically raffle tickets to win a prize every month, something like that.
Yeah, it has to be like super easy for a person to be in the community, right? Like they need to not. So you're absolutely right. Like, hey, you're doing these things, you get a raffle, and every week or every month someone wins something, right? And it's so easy. I just have to kind of show up. I just have to go to this website. I just have to open this progressive web app on my phone. That's the idea behind the community. Like it's tying together some of those things that we've said in the past, where it's just like, I want to know that people are around. I want to know that they feel the same way as me. I want to be able to catch the vibe. I want to feel like I'm appreciated. I want to feel like I can do something. All these things that we've captured in the past, we need to bake that into community pages somehow, to the point where they become like the kind of central hub. They may pass you off to other sites to do other things. Oh, hey, we speak on Discord. But the way you find that Discord is through this website.
Yeah, I mean, to make that a sticky point of entry is a challenge, right?
It is, but I mean, people are still finding like BCard through the Bankless community website, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, interesting.
Right, and so, where was it? It wasn't here. Oh, maybe they changed it. But there was like official project somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, here's BCard. I don't know. Like people say that like the last two people who kind of joined the Discord and asked them, hey, how'd you hear about BCard? They're like, oh, I found out about it on the Bankless website. And I was like, what? So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I don't know. We're at the end of our time, but I think just the idea of like we're coming to, so Web 1 was this idea of read, write, own, right? Web 1 was read. Anyone can put a server up, anyone can put a website up, and you can read. It was really like in some ways like the cottage web, and then Web 2 brought this interactivity, and it brought this idea of write. Hey, not only can you read websites, you can now easily write. So this idea of like Facebook, Twitter, all these other things, anyone can now write. Even YouTube. Hey, now anyone can create videos and share them online. Really democratizing the access to tools of creation. The next phase, or at least I guess the hypothesis for the next phase is own. Hey, you can read and write things now. Now you can own these things as well. You can own a community that you're part of. You don't own that Facebook page that you moderate. That is owned by Facebook. You don't own that Reddit subreddit. That is owned by Reddit. But hey, there is an idea that you can own things. But the only way to really own things is to own them. Writing on someone else's platform means that they can take it away from you. If you go onto like the idea of being able to own a community is new. That is what DAOs are all about. And so we're really on the side of ownership. And so what does that ownership mean for a new community? What is that? What form does that take? And how can we make it so that new communities who are looking to actually make this happen can actually leverage that? So that's what we're kind of here to do. Just want to thank everyone for being here. We are advancing on a lot of different fronts. And I know that we're kind of in this really abstract and early phase where we don't know what these things are going to be, but action creates information. So if we act, if we do something, if we ship something, we're eventually going to get all the information that we need to succeed. That is the hope, at least. So thank you, everyone, for being here and taking that action with me. I appreciate you all.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Links.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Links. Thanks,
And
everybody.
enjoy ParkCon.
Thank you very much.
Safe travel.